Good afternoon and welcome to our session. My name is Stephanie Lvovich and I'm an executive director for a global communications consultancy called ADQF Worldwide. And here with me we have a very distinguished panel of experts, and we're going to be talking today about food standards and safety. Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, Yusuf Ali from Lulu Group has to leave us in about 10 minutes. So what I wanted to do was say a couple of quick words just to set the context for this discussion, and then I would like to turn it over to Yusuf Ali. Thank you. So with me today, we have His Excellency Mohammed Badri, who is the Acting Director General of the Emirates Authority for Standardization and Metrology, the UAE's standards body, national. We have Yusuf Ali, who's obviously one of the leading business personalities in the region, and he's the chairman of the Lulu Group. Saleh Luta is the managing director of Al Islami Foods, as well as the founding director of Souk Extra and the chairman of Al Farouj Restaurant. And Al Islami obviously is one of the strongest halal brands, and we're going to be talking about that. And then finally we have Dr. Frederick Ames, who's the head of quality management at Nestle, which is obviously one of the biggest food companies in the world. And he's worked for Nestle for over 16 years, doing this role in France and in Singapore. So he brings also an international perspective. I think just a couple words from me. The food standards are an increasingly critical topic everywhere in the world. Food standards and safety. And it's a very complex process to create an environment where consumers feel safe and where businesses are able to thrive. And internationally, retailers and manufacturers have to work together with standard-setting organizations in order to be able to do this, to deliver safe, high-quality food to consumers. The challenge is that there are some trends that are going on in the world that are making this extremely complicated. The first is the global food supply chain and the fact that materials are being sourced across boundaries more than ever before. We have a growing population and more people need to be fed. And industrial food production is making it much more complicated and is a challenge for certain types of food production, such as can be the case with meat production with halal. There's also global migration trends that are actually changing the way that people eat and the palate and the taste of foods that are in demand in different markets. And so there's an internationalization and a drive to export what historically would have been regionally specific or regionally desirable foods to other markets. Now, I'm based in the UK, and in Europe we have some of the toughest standards for food, but we still in last year experienced the horse meat crisis. And it showed a real vulnerability in the fact that standard setting, you have to set the standards, but you also have to make sure that they're actually implemented. And those two very separate but interrelated things expose the fact that even with the highest standards in Europe, there is still a vulnerability. I think I'm just going to leave it there so I can hand it over first to Yusuf Ali. He's going to tell us a little bit about the Lulu Group and how they've achieved a leadership position in this area. Oh, no, just sit. I think so.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most beneficent. Respected co-panelist, my friend, our moderator, brothers and sisters. First of all, let me take this opportunity to heartily congratulate officials and especially His Highness Sheikh Hazza bin Zayed Al Nahyan for organizing such forum, which is beneficial for consumers, authorities, plus our friends in the government. To start with, I would like to say that we have to learn many things from this great nation. United Arab Emirates. Tremendous. I'm since 40 years in this country. My father, my uncle from 1966 onwards. A tremendous transformation that a developing country needs has taken place here under the farsightedness and visionary leadership of Allah Rahmah His Highness Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. Today we saw in video clip. UAE is continuously progressing under the dynamic leadership of our beloved President, rulers of this great nation, Emirates, His Highness the Prime Minister, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Crown Prince and Deputy Supreme Commander, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Deputy Supreme Commander of Armed Forces. These 40 years I was watching, we were hearing, we were seeing the transformation of particularly Abu Dhabi. I'm very happy to say that today, United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi, known for quality, safe and efficient products. It's no doubt that Abu Dhabi Quality and Conformity Council has played a great role to achieving this status. The efforts of the Council have helped to create an open, diversified and knowledge-based economy which puts Abu Dhabi in the right place as a hub for trade and investment in the region and the world. Before going to my subject, I would like to brief you all about our position in the market today. Currently, we have 110 hypermarkets in the GCC countries and more than 31,000 staff. 31 countries around the world are working with us. We have our operation in 33 countries. Our policy is to go to the people to serve them instead of people coming to us. Good quality, competitive price, and better service to our slogan. And I am very thankful to all our business associates from all over the world, including our Nestle, Islami, and our standardization excellency here. All business associates from all over the world for their wholehearted support to achieve this goal. In today's highly competitive business world, customer is the king, and the customer satisfaction is very important to the growth and success of any business. Quality, safety, and efficiency of the products are signs of excellence, and they are equally important to sustain the faith of our customers. I sincerely believe that food safety is a shared responsibility of producers, food manufacturers, regulators, retailers, and each and every consumer. Today is more than ever before, food products regularly cross national boundaries at every stage of the supply chain. In UAE, 80% of the foods are imported from other countries, and thereby the regulators and food industries are making sure that these foods are safe and having same for uniform quality standards. International standards create confidence in the products we eat or drink by ensuring that world-class uses the same recipe when it comes to food quality, safety, and efficiency. These international standards provide a platform for developing practical tools through common understanding and cooperation from agricultural producers to food manufacturers, laboratories, regulators, and consumers, etc. Lulu is committed to maintaining the highest level of food safety standards. We follow all the international standards and best practices to our entire food supply chain to ensure the quality of the foodstuffs we deliver to our valued customers. In addition to the regular regulatory checking, we do our own internal and external quality check to ensure the quality of our products we sell. At the time of the receipt, time of representative samples are taken, and we do the microbiological physical, and chemical analysis in the government-approved laboratories. We have highly skilled staff and modern sophisticated equipment for handling and testing food items. The quality and the standard of the prepared foods are highly maintained by using best quality ingredients and the following good manufacturing and hygiene practices across our outlets. We are using all modern state-of-the-art and high-quality equipment for storing, processing, and manufacturing in our outlets, and always using the latest innovative technology to maintain the quality and awesomeness of our product. The commitment begins at the top and is integrated through every area of our business, from product, sourcing, and procurement to our retail stores. Food safety is identified among our corporate strategic objectives, and all levels of staff from corporate executive to the local store sales staff are educated in food safety. Working with suppliers, Lulu has developed a strong product tracing process. Requires suppliers of private label product to obtain independent third-party food safety audit. We have strictly instructed our suppliers, including of perishable foods, to ship product in refrigerated trucks equipped with temperature monitoring system. If the record temperature therefore exceeds the specified limit, we reject the product. We have also developed a temperature control system for our distribution facilities, and we have implemented remote temperature monitoring of refrigeration and frozen food units in retail stores. We have implemented ISO 22000 food safety management system with our distribution facility. These facilities are audited by our internal food safety auditors and independent third-party auditors. Now we are also upgrading our systems and stores on time to time, because internationally a lot of food chains are spending a lot of their resources for research. We are also doing the same. Being the retailers, we import from all over the globe. This also brings in lot of changes in terms of ensuring the safety food from countries whose infrastructure are not so developed. Doing the business in today's retail market itself is a great challenge. To maintain our position among our competitors, we need to be always vigilant, and our quality should be improved on time to time. Abu Dhabi Quality and Conformity Council and Abu Dhabi Food Control Authority are also playing an active role, and like partnership, we are also interacting on day-to-day basis, on weekly basis, on monthly basis to maintain our standard, to elevate Abu Dhabi for the world of knows that Abu Dhabi is a safe country for having food without fear. We have also trained our all food handlers as per the guidelines of ADQF, Abu Dhabi Food Control Authority, and have also adopted HACCP standard to all our food sections like meat, fish, bakery, to provide safe food and hygiene standards. This is to make sure that the public have their food without fear. I would also like to once again mention the commendable role played in Abu Dhabi Food Control Authority in helping the food retailers, to give them time to time advice, to give them time to time auditing. For auditing, they provide all the necessary guidelines and strict control of food import, preservation, transportation to ensure the safety of food. So I take this opportunity to assure that Abu Dhabi Quality and Conformity Council that we are glad to be a part of this continuous effort to make UAE, Abu Dhabi a world-class shopping destination by highest quality of standards. Thank you. I hope that I gone through all the areas.
You covered quite a lot. Do I have time for one question?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I really apologize because I have to leave early.
Okay.
That's why. Anyway, I'm ready to take some questions from you and
Okay, I had one quick question, which is what we see from retailers internationally is playing more of an intentional role in shaping. Obviously, retailers shape the food that we buy through the specials that they run, through the way that they sell it, and some other retailers groups have been looking at focusing on nutrition quality. So not just the quality of food in terms of standards and safety, but actually trying to encourage consumers to eat more nutritionally dense food. And with the challenges of health that are in this region in particular in relation to diabetes, I wondered whether or not when you think of food standards and food quality and your approach to that, whether or not that is something that you think retailers might have a role in.
see now. My humble suggestion is that retailers should focus now the latest trend of the food safety. First now, diversification to organic foods, nutritious food, diabetic foods.
Yeah.
This now in all our new and old, now we are upgrading our other old hypermarkets to new because we are upgrading the standards, we are upgrading the equipments. In that, we are opening different sections of organic, nutritious, because we should give more choice to our valued customers to select what they want. Because ingredients and health cautious nowadays, and ingredients is very important. So the nutritious food now is diversifying our retail section to nutritious, organic foods, plus diabetic, plus low-calorie foods. This we are also changing and transforming to that area.
Thank you. Do you have to go, or can I ask one more?
1, 2 question, if any of our friends want it, they can ask.
Would anyone like
Then
to ask a
I'll leave.
question before Yusuf Ali has to leave? No?
I hope that I covered all the area very clearly.
I would ask just one if there's not going to be one from the audience. I wondered, when you think about food standards and food safety in Abu Dhabi, in the
Yes,
UAE,
yes.
is there, when you think about, as a retailer, if there's one thing that could be changed or improved that would make your ability to deliver the highest standard quality foods to consumers, what would that be?
See now, as rightly I mentioned in my initial speech, that about now we are importing fruits and vegetables from Africa. That's not that much developed countries. But we are sending our quality to maintain, because we are sending our own people to ensure the quality with the equipments, because we are taking our equipments to that country. And we are checking, because nowadays fruits and vegetables, not too much chemical or spraying this. So we are sending as per the ADQF standard. So we are controlling that type of, especially we are changing to the organic way also. So we are sending our own people to ensure our quality. And we are also giving them guidance as per the ADQF, the excellency standardization. We are also passing whatever the information and guidelines that we are receiving from the standardization, plus the food control authorities.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I really apologize.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank you very much.
for your contribution.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I wanted to just turn to the other panelists now, actually, and ask them for, the structure is going to be that each of them will say about 5 minutes of just their views and their approach to food standards and safety, and then I'll ask a few questions. So, may I start with you?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. I'm from ESMA, Director General for the ESMA. ESMA is a federal government which is unifying all the standards that we use for the foods and other products in UAE. And also, we are providing solutions for how to verify the food as per the standards or non-food as per the standards that we have issued. You may notice that different locations, they have different practices for the same standard. So basically, the standards that we develop says about the criteria of how the products should be claimed, processed. But once it comes to the verification, usually different people, they have different organizations, they have different approaches. Somebody says, I want to have certified. Somebody says, just give me declaration. Somebody says that I need certification to be done with a full certification, which my people should go there and verify everything. So these are all really makes a difference in terms of the price of the product. And we are very much concerned about not only maintaining the quality and safety of the food, but not making sure that the prices are not up to a level which the consumers, they pay the price for, they don't need to pay over the price. So this is the role that we are taking right now in ESMA. Food, as you mentioned before, is becoming very complicated. Mm-hmm. The process is very complicated. Used to be very simple. We used to have from one source. Now food is manufactured in different sources. A food maybe come from, let's say, States, but ingredient comes from China, and some materials comes from Africa. And all of a sudden, we have a food in front of us to eat is coming from the more than maybe 10 sources. So that makes complication. That makes verification complication. Standards is very straightforward. We says what the requirement is to protect the consumers. But once we come to verify, to what extent we need to verify, that's a problem that we are facing right now. That's a challenge that we are facing. We don't want to be very expensive, but at the same time, we want to protect, as we said. Quality and safety is not the only things that we are looking at, because a lot of people are demanding the claim which has been there, which going on the markets, not only in UAE, but everywhere else. They say, for example, this food is good for children, for growing up of children. Mm-hmm. So it's a medical claim. It must be verified. And this is not a normal organization or certification body can verify that. So for that one, we are very much closely dealing with the medical sectors. We are trying to develop standards which get in line with the requirement of the DAT. Once I think later on we're going to discuss about halal that you said. Not only we have all of these issues together, also we are taking care of the weight. As you know, in Islam is very much concerned about weight should be exactly same. That's what we have discussed here. That's what there is the Majlis has already started a very sophisticated lab for that purpose. We need to protect the consumers for their rights also at the same time. Although we are protecting them in terms of safety and quality, but also we have to protect them in terms of their rights. Rights means if they are paying for 100 ml of the water, they should be 100 ml of the water, no matter how much it is. So this is the things that we are doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, thank you. Salih Luta, would you like to?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. My name is Salih Luta. I'm the managing director of Al Islami Food. I hope the voice is clear. See, when we talk about quality and food safety, if we refer to who we are doing it for, is it the regulator? Is it the authority? Is it ourselves? In the end of the day, we have to decide and ask ourselves, why are we doing it? Especially with the food, because life has changed drastically. Before I can manage and live with an average quality, now you cannot. Consumer will not allow it. Why? Because competition is increasing day by day. And doing business, it's not like it used to be. Used to be maybe easier than what's going on right now, especially with the social media, with Facebook, with the Twitter, with these kind of new technology. It's really becoming the regulator for all food providers on top of the authority. For you to be able to sustain and grow your market share and make sure that you're having a happy consumer, you have to make sure that you are very transparent and you're really delivering what he's looking for in terms of quality, in terms of taste, in terms of hygienic, in terms of standard. So I think, as I said, it is a mindset which we as a food producer, we try to adapt. At the end of the day, it is what I'm giving to the consumer. If I'm not giving him what he's looking for, he will go for other competitor. And this is the last thing we want to have. So as I said, having a quality product or a quality service, it starts with your mindset. Asking yourself, why are you doing it? Who you are trying to please? Because if you're doing it as a short term, wallah, to have a certificate and put it in the wall, okay, you will get the certificate and you will put it in the wall, but it will not give you a long-term strategy for your companies. It could be a short-term success, but to have it and embed it and have your company really working with an excellent systems, you have to believe in it. You have to get the buy-in from all your employees. And we've went through a real tough experience, I would say, embedding the quality system in the company. It's not an easy, because you know, quality is a subjective word. Quality could mean something different for you, to me, to Mr. Muhammad, to everybody. Everybody have a different understanding of quality. What we are looking for by ADQF, by Dubai Quality Award, by Sheikh Khalifa Award, to have the minimum standards where we can measure your score to be able to consider you, are you a quality company or you are not. As they say, whatever you cannot measure, you cannot manage. So with us, we went through really a tough learning, but we wanted to do it ourselves this way. It wasn't easy for us to call wallah, a consultant and telling him, wallah, we are applying for this quality. Can you help us? He go for 1 month and he come with a bunch of papers and telling you, wallah, this is your quality system, Saleh, go apply it. This does not work. I'm sorry to say. There is no shortcut for having a quality system. You have to believe in it. You have to get the buy-in from everybody and all the stakeholders, and then you have to do it the hard way. When I say the hard way, you have to understand every aspect of it. And you have to ask yourself continuously, why I'm doing it? For you to be able to be convinced that, well, I'm doing it for some specific reason. But it shouldn't be, wallahi, because authority wants me to have qualities, or, wallah, a certificate which I'm dying for. It has to be a belief in what we are doing. And this comes from our religion. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam يقول إن الله يحب إذا عمل أحدكم عملا أن يتقنه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the person who ever do whatever he wants to do with a perfection in mind. Our problem in the region overall, we hide mistake. And this is the biggest problem. We don't want to confront mistake or weaknesses openly. We try to cover it. They say in an English word that bring the fish and put it in the table. That if you try to hide the mistake, it will get bigger and bigger and bigger until it will explode. Like the fish. If you try to cover the fish under the table, the smell will come today or tomorrow. So the best way is to adapt it and to confront it and put it and discuss it openly with a mature mindset. And the problem, I have to admit, we in the region, we don't like somebody accusing me that, well, I made a mistake, or you have this weaknesses, or you have that weaknesses. This is a wrong mindset. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, رحم الله امرئ أهدى إلي عيوبي. May Allah have mercy in the person who tell me my weaknesses. Because if you tell me my weaknesses, I will become better. If you hide my weaknesses, I will continue performing poorly. And as I know, a case about Bill Gates, I hear that he's giving $10,000 for every employee who can bring one mistake in his company. Why? This is the mindset which we want to have. As I said, it's a long journey, but you have to enjoy every step of that journey.
It's very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Frederick,
Thank you.
Nestle.
I think quality in food and in other products is all about trust. It's about trust that your consumers will have in your product, in your brand, and it can take decades or centuries to build, but it can take seconds to destroy it. As mentioned by my colleague here, with the new social media, anything local will become global in milliseconds. It will go faster than an earthquake. It will spread on social media if something happens somewhere. And people are ready to share whatever issue they have in terms of when it's affecting the trust. I would like just to share with you a short video to explain in 3 minutes maybe some of the ideas I could have said myself, but I think the video can speak better than words.
Okay.
We have only one world, and we have one source of food. But by 2050, it is said that we need 2 worlds to feed everyone on the planet.
More and more we are aware of the fact that sustainability plays a part in our food supply chains, but how are we going to tell the consumer to reduce the way they have their impact on the environment?
One-third of the population is actually undernourished, while 1/3 of the population is obese. There's certainly a big discrepancy regarding the one world concept.
What is not safe for a child in the USA is also not safe for a child in Africa. That's why we as an international company must strive to apply safety standards globally, even in countries where a particular food safety hazard is not regulated. It's of key importance that people in developing countries understand what the essence of managing food safety is. A lot of the food that is produced will go to the Western world, but what one would hope is that the knowledge is also gained by the people locally.
Food has never been safer than it is today. On the other hand, the demand for food will increase, and that may trigger practices that may actually compromise the safety of the food.
In today's interconnected world, with a global supply chain, food safety cannot be assured by one country or one company in isolation. We need global food safety all along the chain.
Yes, it's easy to understand where you've bought the apples from which farmer, but if it's a complex product with many ingredients, then trying to map where does that all come from, what do we actually have in our product, is quite complex. But I think it's of key importance. If you truly want to manage your supply chain, you need to have that knowledge.
We throw away over 30% of the food that we produce, and the efficiency rate increase is not fast enough to cope with the increase in the population. Therefore, we have to make the food supply, the food chain itself, much more efficient.
I don't think there's one magic answer for food safety. It's a 24-hour discipline, which we need to apply in every part of the supply chain.
Okay, so this is to say in a nutshell that we need one global food safety. This is cannot be assured by one company, one country. It has to be global because of the global supply that we have. And this is why we internally, as Nestlé, promote to follow open standard, which is FSCC 22000 for related to food safety, which is supported by this global food safety initiative hosted under the Consumer Goods Forum. So that will be my introduction.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I wanted to ask from a regulator perspective, how important you feel it is to work in partnership with the manufacturers and the retailers, and what the system is right now for standards creation in terms of how open is it in terms of that dialogue, and how well do you think that's going?
Yeah, the 97% of our standards comes from the international standards, basically. So usually in worldwide, in all the organizations which they make standards, international standards, they sit together and they involve a lot of manufacturers because they have the know-how, how to improve and how to regulate, and we use 97% of those standards. We have also in UAE, we have national committees for the making standards. These national committees consist of regulatory bodies, manufacturers, traders, along with technical associations like labs, which they have researchers and other things. So with them, we try to harmonize our standards in UAE, because we as a regulator, we know how to regulate, but the know-how of the product itself comes from the industry, and we involve industry in making our standards. So I think in that case, it's very transparent for us that we are using international standards, and also internally we are involving the stakeholders. Basically, why we do that? Because one of the objectives that we have is to assist the industry, UAE industry, to get to the international, we call it arena. Means they can be competitive with others. And that competitiveness, they need the standards to be unified as per their market. Because the basis of the trade these days is based on the standards. Because WTO, which is World Trade Organizations, are always considering the international standards as a trade between the countries. We, as a regulatory bodies, as a federal government, we usually have recognitions with the other countries, and that recognitions are based on the standards that we have. And since we have our standards already as per international standards, the accessibility and recognition is much easier.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering about accountability, actually, and when Salih Luta was talking about the quality mindset, there are unfortunately operators who don't have that quality mindset, and for companies that are not upholding the standards, what happens?
Well, in the UAE structure right now, particularly for the food, we have us as a regulator to issue standards and unify the process, as I mentioned before. And we have local governments. They are we call it market surveillance authority. So they go to the market and inspect the products and take samples, test it, and in case that is not complying with the requirement that we have, the standards that we have, they issue penalties based on the severity of the problem. What we are doing right now is that as it's practiced in UAE, I'm sure everybody knows that the regulatory body, once they go, they take some samples and then come and test it, and they are giving penalties to the industries. And sometimes industries are saying, this is not my fault. I bought it from somebody else. Somebody else bought from somebody else. So the chain is going up. So one of the new approaches that we have is we want to make sure that the source is right. Once the source is right, the manufacturer is right. So basically, we assure that the product is coming to UAE or manufactured in UAE is right. And the main thing is the consistency of the production. If we take the source and monitor the source to make sure that they have a quality system. They have a quality concept in place. We assure that the production of today and tomorrow and after 1 year is the same. And also they have continuous improvement. So this is a trend that we are going right now to make sure that we will have less problems with the products which are lying in the shelves. Because, you know, engineers, we say, if we found one, it's like a shooting in the dark. If we found one non-compliance, doesn't mean that this is the only one. Maybe there are thousands of them out there, but we didn't have time to check. For that reasons, really, we have gone to this level, right?
Thank you. I wanted to turn, because I'm afraid we're running out of time already, to the issue of halal. And obviously, this is a huge market, not only here, but globally. And I understand that there are hundreds of halal certification bodies in multiple countries. And I wondered whether or not you might, both of you, just talk about the issue of halal certification, how you adhere to certain quality standards, and what's going on to get that recognized across borders in particular.
I'll start, I think, then later on he can continue for the part that we do. Halal, as you said, is becoming very, very sensitive issue. And actually, it is demanded much more in the non-Islamic countries than Islamic countries, because usually Islamic countries, they are taking care and making sure that all the foods and products are halal. But we have noticed that international trends is that the non-Islamic countries, which Islamic people are there, they are highly demanding the halal to be really genuinely halal. It seems that credibility is not there. For that reasons, we have formalized a regulation in UAE, made the standards of what the halal is and how halal could be verified. And we are introducing a logo in UAE, which hopefully this logo we want to migrate it to the GCC, then OIC, which is Organization for Islamic Countries and beyond, to have a mark says this is halal, and that means it's been taken care of from A to Z, which the halal means. This regulation is very recent. We have issued it on January 2014, and we are implementing it in UAE right now, giving the organizations who are dealing with the products of the halal, declaring it as halal, not only for UAE and re-exporting UAE, also they should comply with this. And hopefully this will be elevated to the Islamic countries, because they are relying on us right now as ESMA develop for them the standards and the mark for them to be in a halal sector.
Very big questions. See, when it comes for halal, Al-Islami's food considered one of the early moved to the halal foods. I mean, it's been founded by Haj Saeed bin Ahmed bin Luta. He's my uncle. He's the founder of Dubai Islamic Bank. He's the founder of Islami Foods. Now it used to be Ta'awun al-Islami. See, it's a big question, as I said, because when it comes for halal, you cannot have one standard for halal. Why? Because everybody comes from a different mufti, from a different regulator. Some people say stunning is halal with an electricity. Some people will say no, it has to be slaughtered by hand with a sharp knives, by hand, Muslim's hand. Somebody will say comes by a machine slaughtering is halal. So it depends about the taqwa or the belief of each individual consumer himself. So I always go back, the decision maker about this product or that product, is it halal or not, is the consumer, as long as he get the minimum information for him to decide. We've been through this for almost now 30 years. It's a debatable. It's a very tough question, because halal has 3 categories, how we classify it. One is the bright, I call it, which is min al-kitab wa sunnah, by the book and the sunnah of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the bright one, nobody can debate. This is what we follow. We follow that, people call it the most strict, but we went to that standard because of our founder. He believed in doing it as a mandate. He did not do it as a business at that time. The second layer, which is the big gray area, which somebody says halal, somebody says not halal, somebody says adaptable, Salih, don't become very strict, let it go. Okay, there is some consumer who will let go by allowing stunning, by allowing machine slaughtering. We will not. We cannot say that it is haram, but we said this is not what we follow. And there is the people who doesn't care. Well, however it comes, it's fine with me. These classifications, as I said, in the end of the day, we put our bet in the consumer hand. We believe that if the consumer have the maximum information or the minimum information for him to decide, it will be great. We came up with a solution to be fair with all the producer and all the manufacturer. We said, okay, you adopt stunning halal, can you put it in your packaging to say that your product is being stunned? Okay, you believe that having a machine slaughtering is halal? Excellent, we will allow it for you, but put it in your packaging that is a machine slaughtering. Here where people don't want to say it openly. I believe, as I said, you say it today, you say it in the future, consumer will have the right to ask how my product has been produced, how it's been slaughtered, when it's been slaughtered, who have authorized this product to become as halal. As I said, we start with the most strict, I would call it, and we followed since the beginning that standard. This is why we have, alhamdulillah, a good brand equity. People trust the brand because of the founder, because of his belief, because of all the hard work we've been doing. At the end of the day, who you're doing it for? It is, you would be asked in the day of judgment how your product has been produced in front of Allah, not authority, not regulator. How are you making sure that the product you are doing it, in the end of the day, when you go to sleep, you feel satisfied that I made my best effort to really guarantee the product I'm giving my consumer is the right product, what they want to say. As I said, it's challenging. We feel it is accountability in our shoulder, not a small accountability, a big accountability in our shoulder. People see us as a benchmark, as a role model, which they want to follow, they cannot. We believe that we try to educate, we try to share the knowledge of what challenges we face, how we come over it, what challenges do we expect to come. But as I said, we try our best in the end of the day to give the consumer what he looking for.
Thank you.
I will try very briefly to give you some, let's say, international perspective on the topic, although I'm not the best expert, technically speaking, like my colleague here. I think, of course, we have to facilitate the trade worldwide, and we still have to find a common ground and common agreement on what food can be considered halal. And because today, to enter some countries, you need a halal certificate of raw materials or finished products, which is understandable. But the fact is that some certificate will not be accepted by this or that country if it's coming from a certain mosque in a specific country. So here I see the need to find and to define a kind of, as much as possible, harmonized standard on halal, which will be the minimum for companies to comply with. And maybe harmonized is not the best word to use. Working in Southeast Asia for a couple of years, where the Asian countries were trying to find harmonized standards for food, not for food safety, but for, let's say, definition of products and so on, they were struggling and struggling over many, many years. And I think trying to have 100% harmonized is not really achievable because of different preferences. So at least it has to be, there need to be a certain alignment among different countries, and maybe not a harmonization, but an alignment on what would be the minimum to be halal to facilitate the trade globally.
Thank you. Okay, I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid we have to end our session here. I think, from what I'm taking away is that there's a real need for, given the international nature of the food chain, a real need for dialogue and increased cooperation, I think, both from regulator and manufacturers and retailers, but also within the industry itself. to try to address some of these important challenges that we've tried to talk about, even though for a very brief period of time. So I want to thank you very much for your attention. Thank you so much to these wonderful panelists, Mohammed Badri, Saleh Luta, Frederick Imes. Thank you for your attention.